Welcome to Road Adventures of Cycling Men of Leisure. As usual, I am Adam, and I am happy once again virtually, not because you're virtual, but I'm happy to be joined once again with my good friend, Mr. Michael Sharp. How are you doing, sir?
Good, Adam. How are you?
You know, you and I landed back from the great state of Florida, and I usually get told to bring warm weather back with me, and I completely failed at that.
Well, it is February. Just
Yes.
saying. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
uh,
well, it's going to be -10 here tonight, so don't feel so bad.
is it really?
Yes, sir.
Wow, -10. Let's see here. I got a +10 currently. I don't know what the low is, but I could tell you. Hold on. Oh, it's going to be 3 in the middle
Well,
of the night. So
consider yourself lucky.
you know what? We were just in Florida, and I'm sure that I felt lucky. So, um, but you were able to get back in the swing of things, back home and everything.
Oh yeah, no problems. No problems at all.
Good.
Well, other than it's like, oh gosh, I got to go, back to work and all that, but no problems.
Yeah. I'm so glad we were able to record together. I'm getting lots of feedback from my family and lots of text messaging going back and forth. I mean, they do listen to the show once in a while, and I understand. Family is one of those things when a podcast they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll help you get started, and we'll listen to a couple of shows." And some family members, are consistent listeners, some are not. But this one, my family has definitely been sending messages back and forth. They're highly enjoying this show, based upon our experiences together with our adventures on the road. And so I don't know if are you getting the same traction on your side or
I've heard several comments about that, and do bucket hats affect your intelligence? Well, listen, if you haven't listened to our past episode, listen to it and we will help clue you in. I own bucket hats, but there is a time and a place.
Well, my cousin Mark, our leisure community, my cousin Mark wrote me and sent me a picture, and he's at a baseball game with a bucket hat, and so he wanted to let you know that it does not affect your intelligence, but he did agree with you. There's a time and a place to wear a bucket hat. So,
There you go.
um, um, speaking of our leisure community, I'd like to highlight a few things. So, um, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Rob Menzer, Meinzer, Menzer, wrote us. And after our announcement of doing rain, he says, "Glad to hear you guys are taking a run at rain this year. Would have been fun to join you in my home state, but unfortunately, rain and Ragbri overlap, and I'm Ragbri bound this year." And thank you, Rob, for taking the time to write us.
Yeah, absolutely.
He gave us a screenshot of what position he finished in position 88. So I don't know how many riders are there. He said it was 23 years ago. And he just said he really hopes that you're training. He's giving you a little support virtually because he said if it's no joke as a ride, especially if it's hot. So he's sending some training support to you, sir.
And I appreciate that. I, can use all the training support I can get. The good news is I don't, you're right. 165 miles is no joke. Fortunately, you and I have done that distance before. So,
Yep.
we have that going for us. It's not going to be complete, shell shock. But you're right. I got to start riding now, ride early, ride often.
I have an Armando update.
Okay, cool.
So you and I recently got together with Armando in Florida, and he is a very familiar figure to our show with his unfortunate accident. And then, of course, people wanting to know how he's doing. I can officially announce, ladies and gentlemen, Armando is coming back to Big Bragg. So
There we go. Yes, that'll be nice.
Just got the confirmation today. He will be part of Cycling Men of Leisure. And I wanted everyone to know that, yes, even though he had a little bit of a tumble last year, some vision issues, he's been riding like crazy, been traveling like crazy too. But um, he is officially signed up, and you will get to see Mr. Armando at Big Brag 2025. So,
Awesome. Looking forward to it. That'll be fun.
Mr. Scott Garwick was recently at the Winter Lux Brag ride. Got a lot of pictures. So did you, by the way. With
Ice. And his picture was on the Bragg website too.
that's right.
Wearing our gear.
Our Cycling Men of Leisure T-shirt.
That's
So,
right.
he wanted to let us know that he stopped for a hot dog, and his wife put ketchup on the hot dog,
As
and
she should.
and he gave the emoji that he's throwing up. So, but this is very interesting. You and I had a little bit of a controversy. Not controversy. We just had a conversation, and then we thought it would be funny to add to the show about whether you call in sick or call out sick. Um, so far, it's not looking good for your side because
That's because nobody understands it.
well, I think they
Are
understand.
you calling in sick? I myself am calling my boss. I'm calling out sick because I'm not going in. So it's okay. It's a regional thing.
Armando said, I did not stay home from work often in my career, but when I did, I called in sick. I wrote that I'm most interesting man in the world voice.
Armando, yes.
I'm calling
Okay. So I lost that one too. Huh.
Melanie says that she said, I'm sorry, Michael. This one I have to go with Adam. I call in sick. Scott says he calls in sick. Actually, I hate to say
I
this.
guess I'm looking at the sick part. I'm not in sick. I'm out sick. That's what I look at. Calling boss to tell you I'm out sick today. I'm not in sick today. I'm out sick today. So,
well, ever since COVID, there's no such thing as calling in anymore. Get on your computer and work from home. So
that's right. Get back to it.
We did have a couple guesses for listener spotlight. I'm going to save that for a second. But you and I gave some verbal and I guess visual, if you watched on YouTube, support for Cricket, Scott's wife, and she said just finished listening with Scott. We really enjoyed the show. They extremely loved the shout out. Well, here you go, Cricket. Here's another
shout out. Ooh.
She says she is definitely writing.
Cool.
Just decided in how many days, and they have a listener spotlight guest, but I'll save that for a second. We talked about our friend Jeff with the weather and helping us, and I talked to him, and he said his daughter loved when we talked about it. You know, he had his daughter in the car. Yesterday was her birthday, and he took the day off to spend with her, and so he played the show, and she thought it was so cool that her dad was being mentioned on the show. So that was kind of nice. So she made an appearance today, and so I sang my best rendition of Happy Birthday that a child would enjoy. Every adult would jump off a bridge when I sang, but she at least thought it was fun. So I believe. Oh, wait a minute. We do have some people who have signed up for our team to be on Brag, and so we got 4 more members, and so
awesome.
So we will definitely be heading there. If you didn't catch the last show, let's see here. Oh, this will be too late. Comes out on March 2nd. So we have our team. So that's it. But yes, as far as this day we recorded, that we're still gathering members, but as of this point. But what I will say is what you've said before, and I'd like to mirror what you said. Please check with me, because if you feel like you're supposed to be on the team and you're hearing this and you haven't had a chance to check with me, Stephanie's been very gracious. Please just make sure, write me. I can sum up that you were supposed to be on the team or verify for you. And I have had some people email me after our last show that came out and just verified. So, and luckily I've been able to say yes to every one of those people so far. So, things are working, and we're going to have a very large team, and we're pretty excited, men and ladies team.
So here's what you need to do. If you want to make sure you're on the team, call in to Adam for that verification.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
the other thing though, you know, yeah, even if you don't want to join our team, join a team. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Join a team
That's right.
because I've done these rides by myself and I've done them with a team, and the team just adds a whole different dimension to the ride. So
Well, yeah, I agree. I
you
mean,
know, I think a lot of people are like, oh, you just want us on your team, on your team. You know what? Yeah, I'd love to have everybody join us on our team, but I think everybody should um, do it in a team setting because number one, you've got extra support there because there's always somebody there on your team that support if you're having a rough day or stuff like that. And I think it just makes it a little bit more fun than just doing it by yourself. So I
I'll
just
give
wanted to
can I give a perfect example of what you're talking about?
sure.
What was the first thing I said when I busted my rim last year at Bragg? Who did I want
Well,
to
I can't say what you said the
That's
first
true.
thing when you busted your rim,
Yeah,
but
that's true. That's true. But the first thing I said when we got in that hotel room was I needed to contact our team member Scott. That I knew that he had family in the area, that I knew that he had bike parts, he had knowledge. And we did. We ran into him and he said unfortunately at that point that a couple recommendations and luckily I was able to find a rim, but by having a team member, you have more resources, and so you can bounce around and uh,
yes, here's an example. Another example.
okay.
I went up to the great state of Michigan a few years ago
Yes, sir.
with yourself and Joe and some other people to ride the 1 day ride across Michigan, Odrim, and forgot my shoes, left them in my car. And let me tell you, everybody in our little group, our little team was hopping on, throwing out ideas, calling people they know, working on trying to remedy the problem. So it is nice to have that extra layer of support there.
I completely agree. And what's funny is here we had all those people in that hotel room. It was a cabin, but in that cabin, and we were all exhausting our resources because we were all away from home. If we all been home, I think between Joe and I, we could have whipped up about 10 pairs of cycling shoes for you, and we were just out in the middle of nowhere. So,
Yeah.
um, but you made it, man. You made it.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. But it was nice. Even from a mental point of view, going, "Oh crud, I screwed up. This is all on me." But you know what? You guys just jumped in and like started,
yeah,
throwing out. Well, we could do this. Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could do this. I'm going to call this person and see. And so it is nice to have that layer of support there. So join a team. Give it a try.
that's right. That's right. So we are excited. As far as we're concerned, we last year we were able to have close to 10, but Franklin was wonderful to us. This year we have over 10 ladies. We actually have the Cycling Women of Leisure team, and we're excited that we're going to have more than 10 ladies. So that's exciting. Um, well, think that's it. I've gone through our leisure community. By the way, for those of you who take a few minutes out of your life to write us, tell us what you think, Michael and I both just want to say thank you. We,
Yes.
we we love that you do that. So,
Even though you seldom agree with me, thank you anyway. We appreciate you, taking the time.
I mean, I appreciate our leisure community committing and at least confirming that I'm normal. So I really appreciate
Well,
that.
well, I didn't hear any of them confirm that, but
This is true.
you take it however you'd like, sir.
I'm gonna take a little time.
Hey,
Oh
no,
wait.
no singing.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. 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 I think without further ado, we have an interview coming up, which I'm excited that was
This will be
shared.
good.
But before we do that, why don't we do our normal thing? Listener spotlight. I got my toys back, man.
Fantastic. All right, listener spotlight. Here are the clues. Early settlers were primarily English. This town, let me try to put them in order. In the early 1900s, there was over 15 mills, grist and sawmills, within 4 miles of this community. Originally, the town had a different name, but it was changed prior to 1810. Uh, It was established in the 1790s, but it was not incorporated until the 1890s.
Okay.
And this town is known for extremes.
Okay.
And I think I also threw in there that um, other industries for this town included poultry, agriculture, and canneries.
So I've got two guesses. One doesn't actually give a physical city, but I want to give credit where credit is due for cricket, if I could say that.
Wow.
She says, listener spotlight guest with the grist mills. She's thinking below the Mason Dixon line. Doesn't actually name a city, but just wants to throw that out there. And then we did get a new YouTube follower. So, yes, if you're not familiar, we do put the show on YouTube. And I'm trying to find it. Sorry for the delay here. Got it. And to Senscape Angie Raffi, she is saying that, is it Rock Run, Maryland? Question mark.
Okay.
So appreciate the two guesses. So the city that's actually being guessed is Rock Run, Maryland, and then Cricket is saying below the Mason.
Somewhere below the Mason-Dixon line. And I did actually have another clue I threw in there that it might be a good place if you are a remote worker. So,
Tahiti?
All right. What's that?
Tahiti?
I don't think you're getting much work done there, but
No, are you kidding?
yeah.
Transportation buses are running. I'm doing my job.
One big circle right around that island.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, certainly thank both of our guesses. I am sorry to say that neither of them are correct. Yes. But our listener spotlight for this episode is Millsboro, Delaware.
Okay. Millsboro, Delaware. Thank you for your listenership, but we'll let Michael tell us a little bit more. But as I usually do, thank you all listeners, but
Absolutely.
thank you Millsboro, Delaware.
Yes. Early settlers were driven to the area. They were primarily English to join the timber industry and the timber drive that was going on. Obviously had lots of grist and sawmills. Originally, this town was called Rock Hole Mills, but it was changed to Millsboro.
I think that's a good change.
Yeah, Rock Hole Mills. Yeah, no. This town is known for extremes. This town has recorded the coldest temperature in the state of Delaware, which was back in 1893. It's negative 17 degrees. It also recorded the hottest temperature in the state back in 38 at 110 degrees.
Wow.
And what is interesting is this is only one of 3 cities in the U.S. to record both the record high and the record low temperatures. And those other 2 places were Chester, Massachusetts, and Warsaw, Missouri. And as far as being a good place for remote workers, 2021 PC Magazine named it one of the top 50 states in the U.S. and Canada for remote working.
Any reason why?
Because it's a nice place to remote work from. I don't know. You put me on this spot there. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just wondering,
they've got really good, fiber, internet, and lots of coffee shops to go hang out in, I guess.
There we go. Yes. I thought Lake Nona, Orlando area was a wonderful place to remote work myself, but okay. I appreciate you mentioning that. I was just wondering if it was because of its outdoor coffee shops.
I think we've already answered that question. It's a great place to remote work because what else are you going to do there when you have the high and the low extremes like that?
Well, you're
stay
close.
Inside and work.
I was going to say you're close to the negative 17 tonight. So
it's going to be real close.
Hey, seriously, when you were reading that, I was thinking about that. didn't you have a football game? I mean, I'm not try I know we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but wasn't, like, the football game that you had at the Arrowhead Stadium or whatever, GHHB or whatever the heck it is, wasn't it, like, -10 last year, one of those games? Like,
It
soup.
was, and if
Yeah,
I remember right, that was the 3rd coldest football game, professional football game on record.
I think you're right, I
It
remember.
wasn't the coldest,
Yeah,
but it did make top 3.
and I know that you and I were, like, we usually during the games, if no one knows, we text each other and sometimes of and the one guy who was standing up without his shirt on, and both of you and I were like, "Ooh, that's gonna not be good tomorrow."
He's going to the hospital with hypothermia or frostbite or both, but, at that temperature, it I'm sorry, I can't really enjoy the game at that temperature.
I enjoyed it very much. I hit pause when
Well,
I wanted to go to the
in my
bathroom.
living room in front of my fireplace, it was awesome, let me tell you, but
Well, listen, I really appreciate you always having the listener spotlight, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, that was listener spotlight. I love having my toys back. So, um, we have something we're about to play here. This was pre-recorded, full transparency. You would know that if you watched it on YouTube because I will have a different shirt on, and so will you, and there'll be different views and everything. But hopefully, it plays well. We, throughout the years of doing cycling, have continuously seen Padres Cycling
Mhm.
in charter along the way. We met these gentlemen, Jimmy and Dave, and I want to let the interview play out, but we met these gentlemen last year at Shoreline. We were at an outdoor brewery with a fire pit, and a gentleman came up and started talking to you and said, "What is this Cycling Men of Leisure about?" Later on in the week, we sat down with the gentleman at Traverse City Whiskey, said, "Hey, we should do an interview, when we get later on in the season," and that's exactly what we did. Um, and
So,
so,
yeah, we've got the inside look at what cycling in is all about, so it'll be fun.
without further ado, let me please play this interview, and we'll be back to give some comments. Hey, Michael, we have some extremely special guests today.
We do indeed. This is exciting. We've been to a lot of rides that these guys have been on, and so it's going to be fun to talk to them. And we just keep seeing them. And we actually ran into them last year at an event and had a chance to sit down and talk to them. And I kind of felt like I knew these guys because everywhere we went, we kept running into them. So this will be good. Who do we got?
We have Jimmy and Dave from Padre Cycling In. Jimmy and Dave, let me welcome you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Well, we appreciate you taking your time this evening. So we did meet you last year at Shoreline in person, uh, and then we happened to end up in Traverse City at Traverse City Whiskey, which was a good. Oh, sorry, little bit of sidetrack there. But can you tell us, Padres? We've seen you multiple places. How did you get the name? Where did it come from? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Jimmy, you want to handle that?
Sure. So the the business was in existence in 2007 by the original owner, who was the Padre. Um, he got his name. We actually got an email the other day from the person who named him, and apparently this person said, "Hey, you're Padre," because he was also a minister on the side. He was a retired police officer, but he was also a minister. And he lived in a town called Mexico, Missouri. So you take a Mexican minister and you have a Padre.
I love it.
So
Cool.
Padre, he got his start from Bubba Barron, Bubba's Pampered Peddlers, was also a retired police officer, and they were friends. And Bubba had a business going, and he said there was some room in the industry for another person. So Padre took it on and created his own side business, and kind of Bubba took him under his wing, and it was all kind of from there. Then in 2014, I was talked into by a friend of mine to do Ragbri, and he was using Padre Cycle In. So I used Padre Cycle In, so I was a customer. And then the next year, I talked Dave into doing it with me. And kind of funny story, because you know, I was happy to do either way. Camp myself. I've done a lot of self-supported stuff too, so I was happy to just camp myself. said, Dave, what do you want to do? Do you want to get chartered or do you want to self-support? He's like, well, if we're riding all the way across Iowa, someone else is putting up our tent. So we became customers, both of us, and that was the year that the business became for sale. So we knew that going into RAGBRAI that year. We kind of watched the business and said, these are the things you need to do to have this business. And, it's an existing business we could purchase. And by the end of the week, we had decided that we were going to, I was going to say we were going to buy it, but we were going to go home and get permission from our wives to buy the business. And of course, they said sure. So, 30 days later, Dave, we owned the business?
Yeah. Was,
Wow.
30 days
August
after getting
30th,
back from
September
RAGBRAI,
1.
we owned this charter company.
Well, I tell you what, those friends who talk you into RAGBRAI, I'll tell you, you got to watch friends like that.
Yep.
No, that's
We're
for
great
sure.
people. What can we say? So you guys have been cycling for a long time, and this opportunity came up, and you're just like, I think this would be a great idea, and you took over the business, and now you're going to how many different rides this next year?
We've got, is it 7 rides this year, Jimmy?
Maybe it's 7.
Let me see here. I'm gonna help you cheat.
2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got Katy Trail for you.
Yep.
Peddler's Jamboree, Bragg,
You got it.
RAGBRAI, Shoreline, Dulmac, and Bourbon Burn.
That's correct.
Let's see here. We're gonna see you at Bragg, Bourbon Burn.
Bourbon Burn.
We've seen you at Shoreline. We've seen you at Dulmac. We've seen you at RAGBRAI.
We'll see you at the beginning of the season and the end.
There
That's
we go.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Well,
I gotta add one thing. You said Mexico, Missouri, and I just find it really interesting. I actually went to school in Mexico, Missouri. Missouri Military Academy is there. I was a little bit of not on the right path. My parents said, "Guess what? You're going to military school," and so that's kind of when I read your little bit about you on your About Us page on your website, which, by the way, is PadresCycleIn.com. As we're talking about this, if you're curious, these guys are phenomenal guys. If you're looking for charter services, we're going to get into what they do here in a little bit. But if you're looking for it, please go to PadresCycleIn.com. So interesting. So I appreciate that.
What I think is interesting is we've seen you guys for several years here and there and everywhere and all these different rides and had never really talked to you. And we were at Shoreline last year at Mackinac. They had a little get together at a brewery. And I still remember it. I think it was you, Jimmy. You came walking up to me and you were like, so I keep seeing these cycling men of leisure stuff around. What is that all about?
Yep.
And we wound up chatting there for quite a while and met several of your crew people. And then I believe 2 days later at Traverse City, we all wound up in a distillery sampling some local brew, local distilled spirits, so to speak, I guess. So it was really kind of interesting because we had never ever really talked, except then we finally wound up together. So that was kind of cool. I think where I want to start at with the whole thing is for the people who don't know anything about, who maybe haven't participated in a week-long event or who have participated, say, at RAGBRAI and used just the RAGBRAI service. What do you guys offer?
So we offer 2 different sizes of tents. So essentially, rather than bringing your own tent, bringing your own camping gear, we'll provide a tent for you. You can pick from a regular size tent, which is a 3-man tent, or you can pick from a 6-man tent, which gives you space to stand up, walk around in there. It makes it easier for changing. You can have 1 person or 2 people in that tent. When I say 2 people, a guest of yours, not somebody you get matched up with. But so you can do a large or a regular size tent, and then we put that up every day. We take it down every day. Our crew does. We move it to the next town. In addition to that, we'll take luggage and have it at your tent every day. So when you wake up in the morning, you pack up your bags, you set your luggage outside your tent, and then we'll grab that luggage, we'll put it in our truck, and we'll take it to the next town and have it outside your tent when you get to your camp. Then we also have snacks and beverages, so we'll have sodas that are available. We have a charging station for electronics. You can charge your GPS unit, your phone, tablet, whatever you might have. We'll have chairs. Like I said, wide range of snacks that are available. We have coffee in the morning. We'll always have a shaded area. So when you're coming back from that long ride, or if it was a hot day, you've got shade where you can just sit there. You can grab a soda or water or whatever it might be, relax for a few minutes before you worry about anything else. Grab a snack, talk to some other customers, talk with one of us, and then you can head to your tent where your luggage is and take care of things. We also provide shower towels. We have, so you don't have to bring your own towel, just disposable shower towels. So one less thing to worry about. We also have hot coffee in the mornings. Then we'll have ice, powdered Gatorade or Gatorade available in the mornings too. So when you start your morning, we don't provide meals, but we'll have a couple of snacks that are available to get you on your way, as well as coffee to fuel up your morning too. So,
That's
and then we also have bike racks. So when you come into
hmm.
camp, you can put your bike on a bike rack and not have to worry about laying it in the ground or where do I put it. Jimmy, what did I miss?
I think you covered it, but one thing I wanted to add is that is the same service that we will provide for any event that you use our services. So it doesn't change. Like we don't, some charters might offer certain things on Ragbri, but then they don't offer those certain things on
Hmm.
another event. But if you go to any of our camping events, we provide all of those same services. That's, of course, different for our Katy Trail event, which I guess we'll talk about that at some point,
Okay.
but that's a hotel-based event. So those services will be a little bit more different. And for people who don't like the heat or they don't like sleeping in a tent, that might be more up their alley.
Cool.
So I will tell you, last year at Shoreline, your camp in the Traverse City camp seemed so valuable to me. I wasn't part of you. I wish I was at that time, because as I passed, that was a long day, and there your beautiful chairs were sitting, and I saw all of your guests relaxing, and I thought that should be me right there. So, and Michael, I think you're right. If no one realizes what that is, if you do, just as a comparison, if you do an event that doesn't have a charter service, you come in and you're going to the baggage truck and you got your bike and you got your bags, and now what? Now you're either walking with your bike and walking with your
Well,
bags.
stop right there, Adam, because you made that sound really super easy.
It's not.
You go to the baggage truck, and there's like 300 or more people's bags in there. They're now strewn all over the lawn. You now have to go through and find your bag. And of course, you're going to pick a bag before you go that you think nobody else is going to have. And then you're going to find 50 people that have the exact same bag, exact same color.
Yep.
And then if it's like one of the first days when they bring your bike, I mean, your bikes are just all, so I mean, it's more than just, oh, I'm going to grab my bag and go. It's a lengthy process. So I can definitely see where if my bag's just waiting outside of my tent, that would be beautiful.
You mean it's not the green REI one that I bought that no one else could buy at the same time? That
No,
was on sale.
Believe it or not, everybody else bought that same bag on sale. So, yep.
So one of my questions would be is, sometimes it rains, believe it or not. How do you guys handle bags when on days it rains? I think I saw maybe tarps or something. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Jimmy, you got muted, buddy.
Jim. Yep.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Things happen.
I'm trying to mute myself. I've got a little bit of a cough. So, but on Shoreline, you probably saw some tarps over the regular baggage trucks. They'll take they'll park their truck and then they start unloading all the bags onto the ground. And then never fails, one of those days it's going to rain and it rains on on everybody's bags. So they have a big roll of clear plastic that they'll try to put over it to keep it dry. We try to keep the luggage in our baggage truck, until every tent is set and everything like that. And then we can then decide, all right, is this clear? Everything's clear. We can start taking the luggage out. So if we do get a shower or whatever, that luggage isn't just sitting around getting wet. It's in the baggage truck. We had an incident last year where we were ready, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was, a spot storm, but we still, it's better than having that stuff out, sitting out there all day and hoping that piece of plastic doesn't blow away on you.
I think that's huge.
We'll also keep an eye on weather as far as, is it hot? So do we want to keep the doors open on the tents to ventilate them, and so that when you get into your tent, it's not baking? And then we kind of weigh that against, well, what's the chance of rain? So if it's going to rain, we're going to zip those tents up so that way if their luggage has been delivered, we don't put it inside all the way inside the tent, but we'll put it in the vestibule. And if we zip that closed, it'll stay dry once it's been delivered. So there's a lot of watching the weather throughout the day, making sure, we're ready for whatever the case may be, whether it's strong winds or rain showers or anything else that's going to happen.
I think something to mention here, and just for myself, the difference between when we had a charter versus not having a charter is you're talking about the tents and you're going to check the ventilation and everything. I can remember many mornings of Ragbri getting up. It's tent poles are starting at 4:45 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Your tent is soaking wet from the dew being out there in a cornfield, and then the bags the tent gets rolled up. And if I don't have a charter, and then if I ride all day in the saddle, then when I set up my tent, it's dewy and wet. And I think one of the things that you guys offer as a charter is obviously it has time to dry out. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I know the gentleman I met last year at Shoreline told me that you don't put the tents away wet, so maybe he has to wait. I'm not sure. So
if it's really dewy in the morning, we will put the tents away. We'll roll them up wet, but chances are they're going to be completely dry when by the time anyone gets there. I mean, if we've got a soaker, we've got rain all day long, it's camping. There's not a lot you can do about it. You're out in the nature, but on a typical day during the summer, on any of the events we support, by the time we get the tents set up early afternoon, riders are coming in, later on in the evening, everything's been dried out.
So go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say a couple things. Number one, I'm interested, and I forget what town, but we were like camped literally right next to you on Shoreline, and I saw your guys putting up the tents and all that kind of stuff. Or who am I kidding? I saw the tents being put up. That would insinuate that I was in early enough to see you guys put up the tents. They had already put up the tents. If I am participating and I'm one of your people, how do I know where my tent is? Because you guys, I don't know how many you had, 50, 60, I don't know. How do I know where to go when I get there? Do you have assigned spots that my tent is in this spot I'm 3 over on the 4th row, or how do you do that?
So when every customer checks in at the beginning of the week, we assign them a tent. So they'll get a wristband that will have their tent letter and number on it, and they'll be in that same tent all week. So that is one of the nice things in this day and age is you don't have to worry about getting switched to a different tent that somebody else slept in last night, as well as if you happen to leave something in your tent, hopefully something small, then it's going to be in that tent a little bit later too. But after we get all the tents set up, usually if you're next to somebody, you're probably going to be next to them for most of the week because of our order of setting up the tents and taking them down. But every day after we get all the tents up, we'll put a map up and we'll group certain tents together. We group all of our small tents together. We put all of our single tents together, large singles and the large doubles. So that's one way to know, hey, this is the large double area. But then we'll have a map that's up that customers can take a look. They can go to one of our crew members, and we're happy to point them in the direction of where their tent is. And number of tents will vary depending on Ragbri is usually our largest event, but Brag's been growing a lot and been a pretty good event for us these days.
Okay. I was always interested about that, but let me tell you, when they put these tents, I mean, it kind of looks like a military installation. I mean, they don't just haphazardly stick them around. You guys got them in nice straight lines, and it's well organized. So,
Michael, what I'm hearing is you better be nice to your neighbor. I mean, because you're going to be with them all week long.
That's where your tent is. Yeah, don't tick off the neighbor because you have to live with them for another 4 or 5 days.
Jimmy, you talked about baggage and how we'll keep the baggage away, and I think one of the things that and Michael can attest to this, so my first Ragbri or anything like this, any kind of ride that you're providing services for, mine was 2016, and of course I tease Michael about those friends who get you into Ragbri. I mean, now we do this crazy stuff all the time, but at the time they're like, "Hey, what do you think about riding across Iowa?" I'm like, "I think you're nuts." And now I've done it 5 times, so I guess I'm the one who's nuts. But at home, you start thinking about gathering gear and all your stuff that you're getting. How does the customer know how much stuff they can bring? Do you have limitations, or how does that work?
We do. We have limitations which exceed like most of the standard baggage trucks that are just part of the event.
Cool.
I think we allow like about double what Ragbri does. I think, for example, which is basically 2 bags 40 pounds or less each. So
Okay.
80 pounds of baggage per person per event. And, if you think about doing RAGBRAI, I think you can bring 50 pounds total. You still got to get your tent in there, an air mattress if you want it, your bedding, a chair maybe, things that you might not, or things that you won't need if you're using Padres. So you don't have to pack a tent. You don't have to pack a towel or two. So a variety of those types of things that saves space. So we also have on our website like a list of suggested items that's just kind of accrued over the, or the time. And,
Yeah.
If a customer says, oh, I brought this and you got to have that on your list, and we'll put it on there. It's not a be all end all list. Some people want a fan. Some people don't want a fan. There's different things. But it's a good list to look at because it gets you thinking, it gets you preparing, and then it gets you thinking, oh, wait, that reminds me, I should bring X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. No,
So
that's
that's
great.
helpful. But being able to bring 80 pounds of stuff in your bags for as many as 7 days. My first RAGBRAI, I think I wore 2 kits the whole week. I just washed and dried every other day.
Yeah.
So, you can do it all kinds of ways. We have minimalists that'll bring a backpack. And we're like, how is that person spending the whole week riding and not smelling like garbage with just a backpack full of stuff? So
Dollar
then you've
General,
got other
baby,
people
all the way across the state.
Dollar General.
and then you got other people who max it out all the way, and they're probably bring more things than they need.
Well,
Other things you don't need to bring, things like a bike pump. You might want to have a bike pump for your bike, mounted to your bike, but we've got the full towers. If you're someone who wants those types of things, you don't have to worry about bringing those types of things. We've got those in camp. We got maintenance stand for bikes, bike pumps, the racks, all that stuff.
that is nice because, Michael, you and I have both changed each time we go out, we think, okay, well, how about this? How about that? Because before, aligning what you're saying, Jimmy, I would be the guy who, in my first year, probably brought the kitchen
it
sink
was ridiculous
in the house, and then I realized what I did was that first RAGBRAI when I got home. On the right side of my garage, I put everything that I actually put my hands on through the week, and then on the left side, I put things that I never even touched. And in the middle were things where even though I didn't touch it, I still wouldn't mind having. And then I took some pictures with my phone. And I still, each time I go out, I'm like, okay, well, I tell you what. And now Michael and you and I kind of join them like, how about I bring this, you bring this, even to try to get it smaller so we can share. And so, which I know you're right. I've seen the guys who get on the bus and they've got one REI backpack. And I'm like, where's the rest of your stuff?
Yeah.
And they're like, this is it. I'm going across the state this way. I'm like, okay, good luck to you. But Michael, you remember when we were in RAGBRAI? Our charter at the time had parked next to the RAGBRAI trailer, and they had the scale.
Yeah,
and
they were
people were in
weighing
line
everybody.
to get to the
So like at the airport,
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
you're over 50 pounds, take something out.
get out of here.
Yeah.
But what about so a lot of times Michael and I when we do brag, we choose to fly in. This year we've decided to fly to Atlanta, and then we're gonna
Rent a
go
car?
up to Rome and rent a car, go up to Rome. We would have bike boxes. If someone flew to one of your events, would you be able to accommodate travel cases and stuff?
Yeah, we do. We've got a box truck that transports all the luggage, so we do have situations where somebody has a bike bag that they need transported for the week, so we'll handle that at times. And
Cool.
it's not something we advertise, but it's definitely something we can accommodate. It's one of those we try to under promise, over deliver. So if a customer needs something, we'll try to see if it's something that makes sense that we can handle and help them out with.
That's perfect. CPAP. If somebody has you talked about plugging things in. If someone has CPAP, are you guys accommodate CPAPs?
Yeah, we have a couple events, Dalmac and Shoreline, I guess, and then the Bourbon Burn a little bit too, where we know we're going to have electricity available because the ride organizers are going to make sure that there's electricity that's there. So in those circumstances, we ask customers just bring an extension cord and we can handle it in that way. We just last year decided to start testing out another approach for some of the other events where we don't have electricity. And that is we've purchase and rent out CPAP batteries. So basically, it's
Nice.
a kind of an inverter where you can plug a 12 volt or 110 volt into it. It'll run all night long. We tested it out on an event, worked very well, so we bought a few more of them, and so now we have those available for rent on some of our different events like RAGBRAI and Bragg. And what's kind of handy about it that we didn't realize was mainly there for CPAP use, but there's USB-C outlets on it, so you can charge your phone overnight. There's a light on it too, so you can use it as a tent light. So it's kind of multi-purpose. And what happens is the customer just drops it off with us in the morning. We take care of it. We make sure that it gets all charged up by the end of the day. When they're ready to go to bed, they just come and grab it from us and take it to their tent, and works overnight for them.
That's wonderful. Michael, you and I were just recently in the Sky Club on Friday, and they had a whole wall of those things because they don't have plugs for everybody in the Orlando Sky Club, and they have a whole wall of those things you can rent out to charge like computers and everything. So, I mean, we've come a long way with mini batteries and stuff. So that's wonderful. Water. So you said you talked about snacks and stuff. So if I'm trying to fill my water bottle up, I assume that you stage near or around fresh water or have fresh water available for the cyclist to start off in the morning.
Yeah, we'll have a variety of different water coolers out. Some of them will have ice cold water in them. We try to always have one that has lemonade in it. And then on a larger event like RAGBRAI, we'll also have one that just has the flavor of the day Gatorade. That's
cool.
If you bring in your own Noon or something like that, you can make your own with the water. But if you just want to quick fill up with pre-made Gatorade, you can do that. But
which is a
people
perk
really
of
love that
of a
lemonade
charter
too in the afternoon.
To me, that's a perk because I mean, you do RAGBRAI, you're on your own. I mean, Michael, what about our friend Walter? When we were at the 50th anniversary RAGBRAI, our good buddy, we was waiting in line. He had taken the regular RAGBRAI camping in Des Moines, right there in the middle of that big dirt field.
Cool.
And our charter had, water and everything. And we were on our way, and all of a sudden we looked up, and our good buddy from Georgia, and he said, "Hey guys," and I looked at the line, and it was like
60 deep at least.
Yeah,
waiting for water.
So it was like, whoa.
One thing I wanted to bring up is if somebody's listening to this and they are kind of the first timer or they don't understand charters, there is a difference in charters. There's different levels. It's like anything else. You've got your basic level, and then you build up. And I would say you guys are kind of the higher end level, because on the basic end, and we've used a couple of charters for RAGBRAI just because we don't always like where they stick us if we're just with the RAGBRAI group, and we don't want to haul our luggage that far. But we have used charters where you bring your own tent, you bring your own stuff. They tell you follow the signs going into town where they're going to be, and your stuff is sitting there, and maybe it's rained, maybe it hasn't, maybe they covered it, maybe they didn't. And then you bring your stuff and you find your little camping area within their domain there, and you set up your tent and you haul your gear over and that kind of stuff, and your bike lays on the ground and that type of thing. So when you're looking at charters, there's different levels that you'll want to look at. You guys sound like you're doing it right. I mean, you guys are sounding like Men of Leisure should be coming to you, because you guys are setting up the tent. I don't have to haul my baggage or anything like that. I've got a nice rack. I can set my bike up off the ground. So I just wanted, for anybody out there who wasn't familiar with charters, is there is a multitude of different services offered. Some offer just, we're going to have a assigned place and we'll get your luggage there, and we'll have a shade tent or something for your enjoyment. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that those levels exist.
And I think from a guy who's done, and you guys obviously have done events too, but from the four of us who have done these events, I think where your service becomes extremely valuable to somebody who may not be realizing it, like if they're listening to a podcast in the comfort of their air-conditioned car, they're not thinking about the reality is you get on that bike for 60, 80 miles a day out in the middle of the heat, out in the middle of Iowa or Georgia or whatever, elevation in Georgia this year or whatever, and you come into camp and your tent's already there and your bag's already there and you're ready just to like go take your shower, go find something to eat. you're not messing with anything. I think that's one of the perks that obviously you guys decided to buy the business. You know that, but for someone who doesn't realize why should I charter versus not charter, now there could be like you said, it could be the minimalist. I'm not doing that. I've got my sleeping bag and I'm staying out in the open. Well, good luck. Whatever. I mean, each person could do it their own way, but um, let's Michael. Only unless you had some other things. Should we get into some of their events that they're doing?
Yeah, I was wanting to chat about some of their events they've got coming up, and was hoping you guys might be able to fill us in, because I know most of them. Like Adam said, we participated in most of them. Don't know anything about this Peddler Jamboree. So tell us a little bit about the events that you've got coming up.
Yeah, so Peddler's Jamboree is basically just a 2-day event. It's an out and back. Goes from Columbia, Missouri, out to Boonville, Missouri. It's about 35 miles each way. So it's a very leisurely event. It's, a lot of times it's just the people who do it. That's the only time they're on their bike the whole year. It's not it's not necessarily all serious riders. A lot of people are dressed up in costumes or they decorate their bikes. But I'd say every 10 miles or so, you can stop and hear some music. Most stops are going to have food and drink also. And then when you get to the very end, which is Boonville, it's Kemper Park is the name of the park they host everything at. There's a main stage. I mean, it's a full large stage with multiple bands, and they play music all night long. Past midnight, just going to town. Some of it's the guy who runs Off Track Events is who puts this event on. He loves the fact he's actually from I think he's from Des Moines, isn't he, Dave?
Yeah, I think he is
Originally from Iowa somewhere.
Yeah.
But he wants to try to keep everything, all the music and even like a lot of the craft beers and things that are on the event, local stuff. So by local, meaning like Missouri, Iowa area. So it's a lot of local music or somewhat semi-local music to the area. But anyway, you get to Kemper Park and then you can camp overnight. And then the next day you ride all the way back, and then there's music and stuff on the way back as well. So it's kind of like a baby rag bride, but it's on the Katy Trail and the MKT, which is a connector trail to the Katy Trail. So it's crushed limestone. It's not a road ride. It's off. There's no traffic. It's kind of a cool event, but just a 2-day deal. So.
Man, you're taking me down memory lane here. So, little side note. When I went to Missouri Military Academy, Mexico, Missouri, we would go to Kemper Military School and Kemper Military Academy, and we had a rivalry, like 100 and something. Now it's unfortunately defunct. Kemper Military Academy is gone now, but we would play, back and forth, for sports and stuff. And then when you talk about Columbia, Missouri, my parents would visit me in military school. We would go to the Columbia Mall back in the day. And so, man, you're taking me down memory lane here. That's interesting. So
now, Adam, I wish I could say I have no clue what you're talking about, but I spent a little time as a child in Columbia. And I remember the mall. So I've been there.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, those dorms are still there at Kemper Park.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So basically, this ride is just like an hour and a half down the road from me.
Well, what are you waiting for?
I would need to bring a tent. I wouldn't have to do any of that stuff.
No.
Okay, I thought you said you had to bring a tent. I'm like, you don't?
These guys will hook me up with a tent, so perfect.
Well,
You got it. Guess we'll see you at the end of May.
You never know. I need all the help, all the training I can get between now and Bragg. So
how is that Peloton? How has it been going for you?
it's been moving.
Okay, good. The Katy Trail Vacation Tour. Now, this seems like something that you're currently pushing because there are only 10 spots remaining.
8.
8 now.
Whoa!
You better update this website.
Spots are going fast.
Spots are going fast. We should actually maybe put this in before to help you
That's
out.
right.
Get to.
Now,
So
now is this a ride you guys are doing, or is this okay? So this is
Yeah,
a
this
ride that you guys are actually putting on.
yeah, this will be our first event that we're fully supporting, and our first event that has no tents, all hotels. Every meal's included: breakfast, lunch, dinner every day. So, you got your hotels included, SAG support. Um, we've got bike rental also that's available if people don't have a gravel type bike or anything. If they only have a road bike, they can get a rental. What else, Dave?
Yeah, we'll have shuttle services that are available. So when customers will meet us in the St. Louis, St. Charles area, they'll fly into St. Louis. We'll provide a hotel on that first night. We'll check them in, and then we'll shuttle them to the start of the Katy Trail to Clinton, Missouri. And then we'll have, they'll start riding there. We'll provide, like you mentioned, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then each night, we'll have a little bit of a shuttle service to see local spots. If somebody wants to, go and check out someplace here or there that's in the town, we'll have a van that's available in order to shuttle people around a little bit to and from dinner, as well as other places, sites of interest.
that's cool.
That's cool. Well, I've got to say, Clinton, Missouri is not very far away from where I'm at right this moment.
What are you
And
waiting for?
I'm waiting for the snowstorm to get gone before I go over there. But if you have not ridden or been to the southern half of the state of Missouri, you're missing out. It is beautiful. So I would just say anybody who really wants to see beautiful scenery, this would be a great ride to go on.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
hotels.
Katy Trail is,
Go ahead. Sorry.
as far as a venue, the Katy Trail is rated, what was it, top 5 or something?
Yeah.
Rail trails are in the country. So
Yep.
it's, if not number one, it might be number one.
Yeah, if you Google rides that you should do or trails you should do in the U.S., it usually comes up in top 5, top 10, and it's mentioned in most articles that mention rail trails or just rides that you should do in the United States. It's a great trail. We're lucky to live pretty much on the trail in the St. Louis area, and you're not far from it yourself either, Michael.
No, and unfortunately, I haven't really enjoyed a lot of it, so I kind of need to remedy that. So,
Well,
Yeah.
if you'd stop going to Michigan. Oh wait, that's my fault.
yeah.
What kind of mileage? If I'm at home or if I'm in my life, I'm training on a bicycle right now and I'm listening to this. What kind of mileage for the Katy Trail each day?
Jimmy, you want to hit? I think it's, what do we have, 30 to 50 miles, so it's
Yeah, it's
not a
gonna
long. Good.
yeah, it's gonna vary. The trail's about 200. It's just under 240 miles. So
Okay.
we're splitting that by 6 days.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you're talking about an average of 40 mile a day.
It's nice.
Some
That's
of them will
awesome.
be, some will be a little bit longer. Some will be a little bit shorter, just based on where we can get, the best places to get hotels or B&Bs. Sometimes you don't really have much of a choice because some of the Katy Trail is just out in just
Nowhere.
open, undeveloped area. It's just trees and, the river and, beautiful scenery. But then when you get in some of the towns, then you've got the historic German town of Herman. You got the first Missouri capital of St. Charles. You got the capital of Jeff City. So some of those towns are lots to do when you get in there and lots of history to see. If you're a history buff, definitely an event to do.
And
That's
if you're
cool.
into
Not, it's still a
wine,
good event.
if you're into wine,
Yeah.
Herman is the place to go for Missouri wine. I mean, it's incredible, and everybody in the Kansas City area is like takes the train specifically for the weekend to Herman, Missouri, for no other reason than to hit all the vineyards and things. So yeah,
Now, see, I would answer what Michael answers to me normally. They don't have wine at your local store. Why do you got to take the train? Just kidding.
because you're taking the train, you're relaxed, you're leisuring, Adam. Come on.
So I'm going to move to Bragg for a second. So Franklin Johnson, executive director of Bragg, has multiple ways that you can brag. You can do indoor camping, outdoor camping. He works with hotel, Black Dog Luggage. For the outdoor camping, essentially, then with the charter service, not only could I do outdoor camping, but then I could also have a charter where same services where I'd come into each town, everything would all be set up for me. So For Ragbri, pretty much the same thing. Now, Shoreline, I'm trying to remember. Because you were right next to pretty much Neil Glazebrook, the director there, events director, I think his title is. But so just basically the same thing. You're coming in and you guys have your own area, which I was jealous of multiple times and thinking, well, why didn't we do that?
I guess Bragg and Ragbri would be a little bit different, to where if you're using our charter service, you might be on a different spot. You're not going to be maybe adjacent to the main camping, just because of logistics, size, whatnot. Whereas Shoreline, Dalmac, the Bourbon Burn, Peddler's Jamboree, we're all basically right there.
Yeah.
A lot of the Michigan events are hosted by schools. I think Shoreline's trying to get away from that a little bit, but it's typically been in schools. So if their camping's at a school, they're going to put us just somewhere on that same campus. But then again, Bragg, he might have one spot, and then it might be a block over where we are. Sometimes we are in the same spot, but it's typically been varied on those events.
A few times you guys have had the advantage. I've come into town and I'm like, hey, we're here at camp. All right. And I'm like, well, there's Padres.
You're at
why am I still
camp,
pedaling?
but not your camp.
Yeah, exactly. So. I'm still pedaling here. So
yeah, that's one of the things that we'll do is we'll talk to the ride organizer, or on Ragbri, we'll talk to the campground coordinator, or campground chair is what they'll say. And we'll say, these are the things we need. And like you were saying before, there's all kinds of different charters. So on Ragbri, maybe there's a charter that they just pull up in a box truck, they offload everything, and then people take their stuff and find a tree to put their tent under. Whereas we're setting up, like you said, we're setting up our military style barracks of tents all in a row, and we need a flat, we want a flat piece of land. We don't care if there's trees, because we're bringing our own shade. So rather than have to huddle under your own tree by your own self, you can go hang out where everybody's hanging out, and it's more of a community environment for us, because all the shade is together, all the chairs are together, all the snacks are there. So people by default end up, getting to know more people, having conversations, things like that, that if you're using a different type of charter, and so, everybody has their own thing, but if you're using that kind of charter, it's just a little more, I guess, segregated, separated amongst people who are there. But point being, that's why a lot of times we have this nice flat area, because we're like, well, the best thing for us is you got a practice soccer field, we'll take it. Whereas some other charters, or even Bragg in general, might say, hey, I'm going to put everybody who's setting up their own tents right here in this park where there's lots of trees, lots of natural shade. So that's kind of like, I'd say that's by default why we get those sometimes really good spots, because mainly because we bring our own shade. Otherwise it would be rough in the afternoon.
Yeah, and I would say that if you've never been on one of these rides before, or even if you have, and you're not going on a team, which Cycling Men is Leisure is there, you should certainly be on that team. But if you're not on a team, really the charter is the way to go, because especially like if you're in Ragbri, I mean, there's 15, 18, however many thousands of people there. It's hard to really kind of meet people and then see those same people. But with a charter, every day you're seeing the same people. You can, make some friends and actually build that community way better. So if you're not on a team and there's, just a couple of you, really the charter's the way to go. Because if you really want to kind of meet some people, get a community, that's Adam and I have been there several times, or, you meet under the tarp and you get to know somebody, and, you're
still friends today.
Exactly. So, it's really the way to go.
That's why when looking at your webpage and your Facebook page, I kept going, hey, Didia, hey, Savannah,
yeah.
Hey. We knew lots of people.
We knew a lot of the people on their webpage. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's a great point when you brought up community, is it's one of the reasons why we limit our size on Ragbri and all of our events to not be too large, because what we didn't realize was how much people really enjoy that sense of community and be able to hang out, and how many people meet each other. It's fun, especially Ragbri is our oldest running event. And every year you see some of the same customers come back that they may only see the other person. It's like summer camp. They come back and give somebody a hug. It's great to see you. They might ask us, hey, is this person coming back this year? Is this person? So, that sense of community is really nice. And it's been great for individual riders that if you're riding by yourself, it's the easy way to meet people. There's just so many conversations that we get involved with, and other customers just meeting other people. And it's great to see those friendships form, and then people riding together, and then year after year and different events, people coming back together.
That's cool.
Well, this is an interview that we've been really dying to have with you guys. We really, we value what you do. Obviously, we've cycled with many people who have used your services before, and have advocated for your services. And when meeting you was wonderful, and then hanging out in Traverse City. I just want to thank you for giving us some of your time, and telling people about your services, and hopefully we can help spread the word for your events that you're doing.
I did have one more thing, Adam, before you wrap this up. Is there any timelines that we need to know about if we're maybe doing brag or doing ragbri? I mean, if I'm out there and I'm doing one of these rides, I want to hook up with you guys. Do you guys have some timelines that I need to be hitting to be able to participate?
Yeah, so Ragbris are one event that sells out normally the quickest. So that's always one to jump on and get registered for first. And then most of our other events, the earlier you register, the better price you're normally going to get. If you wait until the end in the last 30 days, that's when our pricing does go up, because we've already got most of our crew hired, planning. So we try to incentivize people to sign up early so we can know what our numbers are going to be and be prepared from that side. So the sooner the better. And we're always available if people have questions. They can. Sometimes we'll have chat available on our website. Otherwise, we respond to our emails pretty quick, and we're available for phone calls too. If people have questions about our events or services, whatever it might be, we're happy to answer questions.
Well, cool. Well, Michael, at the time of recording, there's 8 spots left for the Katy Trail Vacation Tour.
I know. But I really think before I do that, I got to get hooked up on the Peddlers Jamboree first. So
I was thinking the Peddlers Jamboree would be kind of fun. I might make that happen.
Maybe we need to add a 4th ride.
I know.
And do that one.
So that's bring back some old memories, man.
That's right. That's right in your old area. That's in my current area. It wouldn't be very difficult. We've never actually participated with Padres, so that would give us an opportunity to try out their services as well. So you never know.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to give you gentlemen the floor, and anything that we didn't cover. We do value your time this evening, and we thank you both. And well, one is in Florida, one is about to hit with an ice storm. But I mean, I have definitely teased Michael many a times. I'm like, yeah, I'm leisuring. So anything we didn't cover that we'd like to add so anyone out there listening could hear?
Jimmy, anything on your side? I can't think of anything offhand right now.
I can't think of anything that wasn't really covered.
No, I mean that's fine. I mean, we just really appreciate the service that you provide, and as a cyclist myself, and we got to stay strong together, because it seems that every time we turn around, some of these events are disappearing, and I'm not sure, because I'm like you mentioned, Dave, you mentioned summer camp, and that's kind of ironically, Franklin did the same thing when he was on with us. He said his mom said it was like summer camp, and it's true. I mean, when we got off at the bus last year at Bragg, I mean, all kinds of people come up and give me a hug, like, "Hey, it's the Men of Leisure." I felt like a little celebrity for like 4 minutes, and then they're like, "All right, see you later." So, but no, I appreciate it. Definitely, like Michael said, we've definitely seen you in many, many places. I look forward to, first thing I'm going to do after I get checked into Bragg, I'm going to come visit both of you gentlemen and say hi, and then at Bourbon Burn at the end of the season, I'll make sure I maybe look the same, maybe a little darker from being out in the sun, but I look forward to seeing you again. So, Michael, I'm going to give it to you. I appreciate everything.
Michael, there is one thing. Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
One thing you had asked, what could somebody do if they want to make sure they don't miss out on anything? I think the best thing to do is go to our website and sign up for our email list.
Okay.
Once you're on that, then you're not going to miss anything unless you unsubscribe to us. But we'll send out a couple different pieces of information throughout the season, just making sure everybody knows what events are coming up, kind of blurbs about each one and things like that. Or if there's, if we have any jerseys for sale, things like that, we'll put those things out there too. So best way is to just be on our email
Awesome.
list.
Well, that's great. Well, we certainly, again, like Adam said, thank you guys for your time. If anybody, any of our listeners or watchers out there are looking for this type of service for one of these rides that they've mentioned, I would certainly suggest you guys go out to their website, and we'll put that in all of our information. Get registered and, let somebody else put up your tent. So that's all I got to say.
There's your new tagline: get registered and let someone else put out your tent.
There we
Boom.
go.
It's not
Thank you.
copywritten, so go ahead.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
Well, that was enjoyable rewatching that. I really highly enjoyed that. What'd you think?
No, I think it's really, really interesting. Really interesting to see their business model and how it works and all of that type of stuff. We've always seen it from the outside, so it was kind of cool to get a little bit more in depth look
For
at
sure.
it. So
I'm interested in that Peddler's Jamboree. Talking about going down memory lane. I mean, that was kind of fun. I had no idea.
beautiful countryside, and it's just right over there. So
Yeah, right over there and there and there and there and there. So, but we definitely. I mean, we got three events this year, which is better than we did last year. So, you never know. We could look at it. We'll see what work schedules are. What's going on. That might be something we might be able to add on. We'll definitely talk. Maybe they don't have room for us. We didn't.
well, there is that, but they don't. You can always come down, and we'll just go hit distilleries in Missouri. There's a lot of them, and there's several good ones. So
I'm listening very much. So, well, I tell you what. We know this is when it's gone long.
It's long, yeah.
So why don't we just get into the book end of it and give us the listener spotlight.
Absolutely. This episode's hints for listener spotlight are as follows. It was founded in the 1850s. The area was initially explored by a French-Canadian trapper. The area where this town is located had no permanent native settlers when the Europeans arrived. The first settlement was created by a religious group. Irrigation was the early settlers' first big job. And finally, remember, bus drivers are required to stop and open the door for trains, to check for trains.
Of course, yeah, that was yes, because unfortunately of a horrible accident. Yes.
Well, this town has something to do with that.
Ooh. I'm going to text you away from the show.
Think you know it?
I mean,
you know me, I like to throw some curveballs in there, so.
Well, let me tell you this much. I have a training video that all my employees have to watch because of the federal law. And in the video, it talks about where they are, but I don't want to say it right now.
But remember, has something to do with it.
Okay.
Keep that in mind.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it is what created it, what started it, whatever.
Okay.
Had something to do with having to open that door.
And just while we're talking about that, where the confusion comes into play, the most popular transportation vehicle right now, unless you're a line haul bus or a city bus, but if you're more of an on-demand or a dial-a-ride bus, is a transit van. And the reason why is they convert them into buses. They put bus doors on the side of them. They can go up in the driveways, easier to turn around. The confusion comes into play is because it's not on a bus chassis, it doesn't fall under the federal law. Because if it was a bus and it stopped at railroad tracks, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm behind a bus. But if you're behind a transit van and the driver stops, boom. So it's kind of confusing. But
does that mean the yellow standee line doesn't count?
there is not a federal yellow standing line in a transit bus.
Ha!
So
You and I always go back and forth about
that's
that, so
right.
I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
got to tell you, last story. We're actually auctioning off a bus for a police training, and they're going to destroy the bus. I actually wrote an email today that says I need to rip out the yellow standing line because I want to send it to you.
hey, you know what? I would find some place in my office here to put a yellow standee line.
That's right.
Just
That's
for you,
right.
sir.
Well, listen, I know this one went long. I hope that people find value in the Cycling Padres Inn. They go to a lot of beautiful events. Five or six of the events that you and I have personally done.
Oh yeah,
and
more than once.
If we talk about it on this show, we stand behind it. So, definitely great group of gentlemen. But I think more than that, I think they have a great team, and I can definitely stand behind what they stand for. So,
yep.
Thank you, Jimmy and Dave. It means the world to us. Can't wait to see you. I think we're going to see them first at Bragg.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So without further ado, I know what it's not going to be nice to do by you, and I know what it's not going to be nice to do by me, but somewhere it is a great day for a bike.
For a bike ride. Absolutely.
Thank you, buddy.
See ya.